Hello everyone, it's Katie here from the Scrappy Sisters and welcome back to our September Scrappy month. We are up to day 7 and the prompt for day 7 is book. So I'm actually using a photo, I staged the photo, but I'm pretty proud of it actually, of how it came out, of some books that I've been reading for a book club that I'm in. So I went through my stash of papers and I picked out this really nice sort of tealy floral piece, and I decided I wanted to use the whole piece as my background, which I, as you well know from watching this channel, I do not do very often. So just to tone it down a bit, I painted some gesso onto the page. Not because I'm going to do any other mixed media, I'm not, well, except for my standard mist splatters. I'm not sort of prepping the page for anything. I was just using the gesso to kind of mute the page a bit. So I do leave that to dry and come back to it. So my background's going to change a little bit. I was sort of going, oh, maybe it won't take that long. No, it took a while. So after a couple of hours of leaving it to dry, I am back to do the layout. I wasn't sure if I wanted the black and white photo or the coloured photo, and I do decide to use the black and white photo. So the books are just sitting on top of a cake stand with a teacup on the top, so I was very proud of my photography efforts here. But I do love reading, and I'm in a book club with some friends which I've sort of been spearheading, and it's heaps of fun. I like having a reason to read a particular book because everybody else is reading it, and sometimes you feel bad if you don't finish. So I'm going through this paper pad. It's a Jen Hadfield paper pad, I think. I've had it for ages, and I'm just pulling out some kind of more of the muted colours, which this whole paper pad is really. Going with the more muted colours, so the kind of teals and the pinks and the greys. And I do pull out this grey stripy piece as my last piece of paper. I don't do much kind of layering behind the photo because I've got the patterned paper as my background. I didn't want to go too overboard on the sort of layers, so I mount it on this grey stripe. I do decide to cut the photo down. In hindsight, I wish I hadn't. Not that I dislike it, but I think I cut off too much of the white space around it, but that's okay. I still love the way the layout turned out, but probably in hindsight I should have not trimmed the photo down, but that's okay. Hindsight is a wonderful thing. So mounting the photo onto this paper and just going to trim that down just with my scissors, and then I'm going to put that matted again on the pink behind it, the chevron pink, allowing a little more of the pink to peek through actually than I did the grey stripy paper. So I hope you've all been enjoying our September series. My sister and I have loved getting into the scrapping, although for anyone that has their own YouTube channel, scrapping a video every day is very difficult, and I have a lot of admiration for the people who do that. And because I share this channel with my sister and I only have to scrap every second day, it's still very hard. So kudos if you are a YouTuber or any form of social media person who does something with their social media every day, because that is hard work. So back to the layout, I decided I wanted to use this gold doily, but I just wasn't loving it behind the photo. So then I decided to do something a little random. I still use the doily, but I decided to do something different with it and actually kind of put it on the side of the page rather than behind the photo. So I'm still kind of thinking, do I want my photo in the middle? Do I want it sort of positioned off center? So I do decide to use the doilies as they are now. So I'm going to stick those down. I decided at that point when I was sticking the doilies down that my embellishment clusters would sort of be centered around those doilies. So going for that, I guess, traditional rule of 3. I don't really know if it's a thing, but I feel like it is a thing, the rule of 3. So I am going to do 3 lots of embellishment clusters, although 1 I'm not sure you can call it a cluster. Calling it a cluster might be doing a disservice to embellishment clusters everywhere, but we'll come to that. So just trimming down the doily, yeah. And now I'm going to pop up my photo and stick it down. I do like to commit to where my photo goes pretty early on in the piece because everything else obviously centers around that. So I am sticking my photo down with more, dots than my sister would use. If you know this from my previous videos, Jess doesn't like to waste, the dimensionals, but I don't like a saggy photo. So, I need more dimensionals than she does, but that's okay. So I do decide I want to kind of offset the photo a little bit, and I do decide the bottom left is where I want it to go, so I'm sticking that down there, and I'm really happy with that placement. I'm going through some new ephemera packs. They're new to me. The collections aren't new. This is a Pebbles collection, I want to say. Yeah, so I'm going through that and just picking out some pieces that might sort of go. Not all of them make it onto the layout, but there's a really cute cake on a cake stand, and because my books are on a cake stand, I really wanted to include that. And then I really wanted to include this banner, so I pull that out. And then this is the Moonstruck collection. Yes. Anyway, it's that one. So I'm going through those and pulling out anything that I thought might work. And the very last one is, again, it's a Pebbles collection, I think, and it's a Time for Tea, Tea for Two, Time for Tea. It's something tea themed. Bit obsessed with tea. So I pull out a really cute teacup with a bunny sticking out of it, and then I find a plain kind of tealy coloured teacup that I pull out as well. Just pulling out the little popping out the little handle hold. Now, I did have some ephemera that kind of have books related to them, and I thought, well, when else am I going to use ephemera with books than when I'm doing a layout about books? So I did want to include those on there. The colour scheme of the one that the one I just put away, it didn't really work. It was too bright. Whereas the one I've got up the top right is much more muted, softer colours that sort of stick with my theme with a bit of gold detail. I was trying to kind of incorporate that end because it's got the gold and it's got the green, but I couldn't make it work. The purple in that heart threw me for a bit because there's not really much else purple on the layout. There is a little bit of purple in the books, so that's how I kind of justified to myself that it totally works. It probably doesn't work so much, but it's on there now. So I've got the purple and the pink hearts, which I'm just going to stick down now. I've decided at this point that I don't know that the cake stand is going to make it, at least not in that bottom cluster. So I've committed to what that bottom cluster is going to be with these two hearts, and then I'll add the teacup and saucer, the teal one. Just sort of deciding where I want to put it before I put the dots on the back. So sticking that down, committed to that cluster now. So now I've got to figure out how I want the top cluster to look, and I do decide I want that banner. I wish probably that I had have not stuck down the doily so much, because I probably would have liked the doily over top of the banner rather than the banner over top of the doily, but that's okay. That's what we've got because I'd already stuck it down. And I like the gold heart and the pink heart with the tealy butterfly. I do really like that little cluster up the top there. So that is going to stay. I am looking through my thickers at the moment. That's what my hands are doing off screen. So I'm going to stick down the banner and I'm going to make this top cluster and commit to how that's going to look. So I'm sticking down that banner, the pink one with gold polka dots. I want this cluster. I always struggle with sticking down ephemera pieces, so I just get my tiny attacher and staple kind of right down the center of the butterfly, because I figured that was, the staple kind of works there. Add a couple of dimensionals, and I'm going to commit to sticking that cluster down, and then that cluster is finished. Now I really wanted to use the cake stand, but it's just not going to make it. And that little cup with the bunny rabbit. That's not going to make it. Neither's the love heart. Not the love heart, the ampersand. So I'm working on my very original title with these stickers that you can sort of partially see off, kind of slightly off camera on the left. And I had no L's, so I improvised and used 7s and totally worked. Because they're the thickers with the foam, they're really flexible and you can mold them. So I was just able to mold for the club, L in club, the 7, and kind of flip it up so that it looked like an L. I do really want to use this piece of book ephemera, so I decided to tuck it under the title and sort of stick it sort of above the photo there. So that's my 3rd ephemera cluster with one piece of ephemera, but I think that, you know, that's okay. That's a cluster, right? I think I add something now, actually, in hindsight. I think I add a puffy sticker, which totally makes a cluster. 2 pieces of ephemera totally make a cluster. So I've got these puffy stickers from Kidaholic Kits from their shop. They're from Bella Boulevard. And so I wanted the pink because, I don't know, the pink kind of goes with the rest of the pink on the layout. And I don't know where these stickers are from, but they had one little purple heart that I also grabbed to bring a little bit more purple into the layout, and added 3 pieces of ephemera to that cluster near the title. So it's definitely a cluster. So to finish off this layout, I am just going to add some gold Heidi Swap mist. So just giving it a shake. I find my mist is getting kind of a bit towards the end of the bottle. It's quite watery. I don't know if other people have found that as it sort of gets less and less, but it's definitely watering down. So I don't know how much more life this little mist has in it. But anyway, we'll keep using it until it's no longer functioning. So that's the end of the layout. I'm going to give you some close-ups. I hope you liked this. It was really simple to come together, but I really love how it turned out with this pattern paper background and the kind of muting out by the gesso. I think it's a really good technique if you're not a massive fan of using patterned paper. So have a great day. We'll see you in tomorrow's video, and I hope you enjoy the series. Bye, guys.